It's a cold one out there. UC Health Training Center is where one of us checks in from. And Mace, you are here. You are cold, but the sun's shining, so that's a good thing.
It's not all that cold. I mean, the truth be told, I could probably ditch this jacket because it's warmed up out here over the last couple of hours or so. I mean, probably the coldest part of me is the fact that I've got shoes on, but my feet are currently in a little patch of snow here that hasn't yet melted. But
Okay.
no, it's a lovely Colorado day. I feel like I should wax poetic like Jerry Rossberg about it. How if I look off on the horizon there off to the west, I can see the mountains in the distance. The skies have cleared. We're seeing some of that azure blue sky popping through, probably more than I can see than you can see on, or you can see glimpses of it, but the clouds are kind of moving through. It's a lovely day. It's lovely to talk to you. It's lovely to be out here.
Yeah.
What more could anyone want?
A win on Sunday. But we have some interesting stuff to get to. First, you put in a Wayne's World reference in your article about change. So I love that. I appreciate you very much.
I did that for you. We fear change.
Yes. Garth has a last name. I was just like, it's Garth, right? It's Wayne and Garth, but Garth has a last name.
Wayne Campbell and Garth Algar. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We fear change. And yes, it came up in a story because Ejiro was asked today by Brandon Cristal. I know at least one person watching will appreciate the fact that I mentioned the name.
Of course.
Yes. And he was asked about working with Jim Harbaugh because, of course, on Ejiro resume is 4 years with the San Francisco 49ers or with Jim Harbaugh. In fact, he actually worked 5 seasons because he worked with Jim Tom Sula as well, but 4 years with Jim Harbaugh. And so, hey, not really asking specifically about the Broncos, but just about, what kind of coach he is. And Evero said that he's a coach he's going to change some things. That's what you have to expect. Said he's a player's coach. He's a coach's coach, but you better be willing to accept change. And that, I would say, Cecil, is another reason why if he wants to coach in the NFL, he would be a good fit for the Denver Broncos, because this is an organization and a football operation that certainly needs some profound change. Now, he put out a statement through the University of Michigan's football account on Twitter, affirming his commitment to the University of Michigan, but he didn't explicitly say he would be there. I guess it gave the, barring something unforeseen, basically, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I know I didn't get the wording right, and for that I apologize. I could probably find that back in our. Hold the mic incorrectly. I could probably find that in the text chain on my phone or my Apple Watch, but I'm not going to look it up. But regardless, there was a hedge there in that statement. You can read about the hedge at denversports.com because I believe Will Peterson wrote a little something
he did
about that as well. So basically, nothing has changed regarding whether Jim Harbaugh could be the coach of the Broncos or the Panthers or the Indianapolis Colts. This is a race that is very much afoot.
Yes, and it's a race where Mike Kliss, our 9 News Broncos insider, said might not be until the end of the month, which means, Andrew Mason, you I think you of all of our digital team at Denver Sports predicted the latest date that it would be announced.
Earliest. I had the earliest.
You picked the earliest. Oh, dang it. Okay, sorry.
Hopeful.
So, when Kliss says end of the month, what do you say about that?
What's the holdup? And the holdup may be that it may not be Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton. It may be somebody else. And you move on to other candidates if you can't get either of those. But then you're talking about teams that could have deep playoff runs. Okay, let's circle it back to Dan Quinn, for example. Would it surprise anybody if the Cowboys make their first conference championship game since the Clinton administration? No, they're a really good team.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, might even be better than the Eagles. But if you want Dan Quinn, if Dan Quinn is your coach, you're going to be waiting on Dan Quinn. That could be a long way. I mean, you could be even talking about waiting until the Super Bowl. And there's by the way, based on my offseason plans and your offseason plans, there's a juncture at which if and when the Broncos announce a coach, neither you nor I would be at the press conference.
Yeah, great. It's the week between the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like if it's Super Bowl week, if it's Senior Bowl week, we won't be there. So, it's happened before. The last time I wasn't at a Broncos coach hiring press conference was Gary Kubiak. That worked out okay because I was down in Mobile. So,
yeah.
All right, bring it on, whatever. But me, I'd love to have it done by next week. Don't think it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So I think patience is needed here, but they will be very aggressive. And yeah, if it is Jim Harbaugh, I don't think anybody's safe. I don't think anyone in the building is safe. And I'm talking about, PR. Yeah. I'm talking about secretary, like whatever. Like I think the change you could see could be dramatic and welcome, as painful as it would be for some people, some really good people too, that work within that building. I think, after this many losing seasons, something's got to give.
Yeah, but may not be as all-encompassing as you might think, because let's just take, for example, Ejiro Evero up there. If Jim Harbaugh is the coach, who's to say he wouldn't want Evero back as his defensive coordinator?
I think that just makes sense.
Evero's already worked for him. It makes all the sense in the world. It's for all the changes that are going to happen, no matter who the coach is. There are a surprising amount of scenarios where Ejiro stays and most of his staff stays on the defensive side, which would make sense because those are the Pistons that are firing on this team and have been firing for most of the year. Really only one bad game was against the Los Angeles Rams, obviously. But even against the Chiefs, I believe both times held the defense, in terms of what the defense accounted for, held the Chiefs below their average, a little bit below.
Right. Yeah. So what's the old adage, Mace? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. And the same then could be true of what do you do in free agency with players, because there are plenty of defensive free agents. Okay, you've got Draymond Jones, obviously, Kareem Jackson, Alex Singleton is a very intriguing free agent who I'd like to see the Broncos bring back. I'd like to see the Broncos bring back Deshaun Williams as well, another guy who's looking at free agency. Maybe the chance of some of those returning is enhanced by Evero being a part of a coaching staff, maybe Jim Harbaugh, maybe under Dan Quinn. But to transition to another guy who talked today, and that is Dalton Risner. I don't know how much you saw of his press conference, Cecil. I did post a clip over on my Twitter feed. I'm going to write more about it at denversports.com when we're done with this show. But Dalton Risner does not sound like a guy who believes he's going to be around after this year. He's talked about wanting to be valued, hopes the Broncos value him, but I think sound like somebody who sees writing on the wall right now.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the offensive line where you're going to look in a different direction, whatever direction that is. I think Dalton Risner's played his last game with the Denver Broncos, unfortunately, and you can tell that. So we'll see what happens. Things change. Maybe market's a little bit cooler than you think. You end up coming back. Like, there's a lot to be discussed here in the future. But defensively, I'm all for almost rinse repeat of the whole damn thing. And I wouldn't normally say that, but the way this defense works, the way they work together, yeah, there's no need to break this thing up.
Yeah. Not interested in starting with a new scheme. I mean, you're basically on year 4 of this scheme, and you're able to do more things now than you were when Vic Fangio got here. And to his credit, he left behind an awful lot of work that had been done to get everybody up to speed. You're able to incorporate more man elements, more blitz elements. There are things that you can do that you haven't done before. So keep going in that direction, right? And not only keep going in that direction schematically, but keep as many of these players as you can. I mean, I really hope, with all due respect to Jonas Griffith, who is on injured reserve, I hope we're watching Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton as the 2 starting inside linebackers next year. But you gotta re-sign Singleton for that.
Yep. And he's earned himself some money. I wouldn't say a lot of money, but he's earned himself some money with his play. Jeremy talks about rebuilding in 1 year. It's going to be patience. I think this upcoming season is more about fixing the offense and maintaining that defense. But, I would love to talk about the playoffs. But it all seems like there's a lot to fix in the trenches specifically. Like it's going to be more than 1 year before this team is clicking or rolling.
Fix the trenches and then figure out what Russell Wilson can be, and if he can come close to giving you the value that you gave him on his contract. Because as we've talked about, the key date is the fifth day of the league year in 2024. At that point, if he's on your roster, then the 2025 money becomes guaranteed, and you're talking about $37 million more. And that's why it's all about next year, because, or this coming season, the 2023 season, it's actually this year now that we're in 2023, because just of the financial ramifications. And so that's what, if he doesn't do well, then you swallow hard, you move on, but you move on hopefully with an offensive line that you've done some work on. And so whoever quarterback is in 2024, if it's not Russell Wilson, is good to go behind a strong O line. Look, hey, don't dismiss the possibility here. If Jim Harbaugh is the head coach, of seeing what Russ has in 23, and if he's not the guy, JJ McCarthy reunion with Jim Harbaugh in 24 behind, like you said, an O-line that you put a year's worth of work into and is on the mend. To that end, I'd really love to see whoever the Broncos head coach is hire Mike Munchak back to the staff. But at the same time, Munch might have some ill feelings about the way things went down 12 months ago.
It all can start over. It all can hit the refresh button, hopefully. Jose brings something up that I think we need to discuss as well, talking about the defense. Pass rush is a low-key problem since Chubb left. Sacks have plummeted. So I feel like with young pass rushers, you can never draft too many. So if you get to the mid-rounds and you want to get a guy, or day 3 and you want to get a guy, and undrafted and you want to get a guy, my answer to young pass rushers, Mace, is always yes, more. Please. I feel like, what is it, Tiny Tim or whatever? Like, please, sir, can I have some more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always want more. At the same time, you'll get Jacob Martin back. I do fear that you don't want to rely on Randy Gregory too much because of the injury. But it's a low-key need, but it's below the surface. I mean, you got to work on the O-line. So if we're talking about first round, for example,
no.
Unless someone is unexpectedly dropped, you can't go pass rusher in round 1. It's going to be more developing down the line. I want to see where Baron Browning goes in his 3rd year. I mean, I think you've figured out a pretty nice rotation with guys like Browning and Jonathan Cooper, Jacob Martin coming back. You've got guys that you can plug in. Nick Bonito's kind of the X factor, but he's got to show that he's able to set the edge well enough to be an every down guy. He's clearly not there at this point.
Right.
The other thing also that contributed to Pesh struggling is you had Draymond Jones dealing with some injuries, and then finally he's been out. And like on Sunday, for example, the pass rush was non-existent. Well, it was non-existent because you didn't have Baron Browning, you didn't have Randy Gregory, you didn't have either Jones up front. DJ was out, and Draymond Jones on injured reserve. So some of it is due to at least recently, is due to the fact that you're just down so many dudes. And even you go back to the Tennessee game where they didn't get a lot of pressure. Well, remember, you just picked up Jacob Martin. Browning was hurt. Gregory was hurt. Kind of see what I'm getting at. Remember, they'd use Draymond Jones as an edge for a while there because they had so few edges. And, credit to Draymond Jones for being willing to do it, but it's not his natural position. That's not where he has a distinct advantage. He has a distinct advantage when he goes inside. He's lined up against the guard because he's longer and faster than the guards he's going against. And then you took that away from him, and he wasn't nearly as effective. I would like to see this unit, what they've got, at full strength for a while next year to see what happens, because I think they'll actually be at full strength.
Yeah. And Jose brings up Malik Reed, and I'll say this in talking about Malik Reed. You look at what Alex Hightower, Trey Hendrickson. I'm thinking about the Shrine game, Mace. Can you tell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's for our bingo card that Jason Potstoner Degenerate was talking about. He also wants to know about your butt cheeks. Are you nice and warm?
They're getting a little chilly. I didn't I didn't pull the jacket all the way down over the butt cheeks. Maybe I should here.
Yeah.
Pull it down a little bit because it does cover the rump.
Okay.
There we go. That's a little better. That's a little warmer. Thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
That's game planning right there. That's game planning.
But you see, like it's nice. I don't have gloves today, right? So
yes, yeah.
That's a sign right there. It's pretty pleasant.
Right.
But yeah, there's still a little residual chill on the metal base
on the backside. Yes, on the backside regions. And I bring up Hightower and Trey Hendrickson is because you and I both saw him at the Shrine, and they're both day 3 picks. So with Hightower, although was Hightower 3rd or 4th? I can't remember. I know Hendrickson was a 4th because when I saw Hendrickson down, and that was at your. That wasn't at your. That was at the preschool, whatever. It wasn't at your high school because it was the morning practice. When I saw Trey Hendrickson, I said, "This dude looks like Derek Wolfe." Coming out of FAU, and they didn't take him. So,
was
like,
it Highsmith or Hightower?
It's Hightower, or excuse me, Highsmith. Sorry, Highsmith.
Yeah,
why did I say Hightower? I'm thinking of Police Academy.
Yeah, and also linebackers. There's Hightower there, linebacker named Hightower. I want to say Highsmith out of Charlotte went in the 3rd round. Alex Highsmith. But
it was a little bit sooner than I thought. Yeah,
I want to say he snuck in, but he snuck in because he balled out at the Shrine.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, he was one of the guys I was talking about coming out of that year. I know you were doing the same.
Love that jump spin shot move. 3rd round pick. I'm looking at it right now. So yeah, 3rd rounder. So there you go. But we're talking about some of the best defenders in the game that were available around day 3. You know what I mean? 3rd, 4th round. Like, so yes, don't take one early. You got too much on the offensive line to do, but you're going to get to the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds, and you're going to have some players available to you.
And look, I mean, for all the shots that George Paton is taking for his coach choice for the Russell Wilson trade, look, he's doing really well when you get to like day 2 and early into day 3. I mean, like just look at the last couple of drafts. Baron Browning is a very good starter. Quinn Miners is looks like he might be the best offensive lineman on the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
This past year, Greg Dulcich, by the way, I mean, had an excellent rookie season, probably the best. In the end, one of the top 2 rookie tight ends this year. Damari Mathis looks like a keeper, and he was a 4th rounder. And he took that pick at the end of the 3rd round and got basically a good trade by George Paton, because that 96 pick last year was down pick 66 or so in this coming draft. So that's actually an area where I trust George Paton to get it right. So, and Jose says maybe go with the bargain bin and pass rushers in free agency with Chase Winovich, Caden Ellis, DeJuan Smoot. I mean,
I'm not against that.
No, and you want to come at people in waves, right? And that I think is what you can do. And the Broncos, they will be active in free agency. I mean, they have some money, and I think also if they end up not re-signing almost anybody, I think they'll have a couple of re-signings, but not break the bank re-signings. They're going to have some money to spend in free agency, and you just hope they do it wisely.
Yeah, you hope they do it wisely, and you put the trust in the fact that they will do that based on who they need and what their identity is. Part of the Jim Harbaugh love fest for me is like, you're going to know who this team is. And that finding I think Orlando put it last night, and I may write about it at denversports.com, MCU. I'm not talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Mace, although I could for hours and hours. I'm talking about you need to be multiple, you need to have culture, and you need to understand that your way isn't the only way. And what Jim Harbaugh was able to do with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick and making that shift mid-season to more of a pistol offense and, all the things that he did therein, you can tell, like, he's got his way, but he also has understanding, like, what do your players do best? Now let's do that.
Yeah, he's not a scheme-dependent coach. And if we're being perfectly honest here, I prefer non-scheme-dependent coaches. Right. It is a concern that sometimes I have about, with all respect, some of the people that come out of the Shanahan-McVay tree. I think in retrospect, the Broncos coaching staff this year was a little too scheme dependent and a little focused on kind of fitting guys into boxes. I don't know if you heard Justin Alton's answer today on why Albert O wasn't getting on the field, but he basically talked about, well, Greg Dulcich is like similar body type and similar role, so there was only one room for one guy like that active, and Saubert had a body type, and Tomlinson had a body type, and I thought, man, you can't operate like that with trying to fit everybody into these little boxes, these preconceived notions that you have. The roster construction on game day should have been like, okay, how do we get the best guys out there, and then we'll make things work around them. Albert O should have been playing. He should not necessarily ahead of Greg Dulcich. He and Greg Dulcich should have been on the field at the same time. Instead of going 3 wide, they kept insisting on 3 wide. Should have been 12 personnel, and you should have had Albert O operating in space as a big wide receiver. And so one of the things that I admire about Jim Harbaugh, if he becomes the head coach, is he has adaptability and flexibility, more so than you see from a lot of offensive coaches.
And we lost him. I was waiting. I was like, oh man, Mace. We're going to lose Mace. We're a little rough patch there today, of course, with the weather being the way it is. That's why you had said rough patch of the internet out at UC Health Training Center. We'll see if Mace can jump back on board. But what he's saying, and what is maybe surprising to some about Jim Harbaugh, is he is that versatile. He does have that understanding where he is multiple. And it's more important to be multiple than versatile. And versatile is, being able to change stuff up, whatever. But being multiple is you're taking the same players, you're running the same plays out of different packages, and you're being multiple on that. And Mace, speaking of multiple, he's got multiple ways to connect to the internet.
Where did I cut off? What?
I paused a bit. It's been in and out today, so I just paused a bit, just seeing if you could come back. But we're talking about Okwuegbunam and how it should have been 12 personnel.
Yes,
and it should have used them all along on the field at the same time.
12 personnel, and yeah, you can do the same kind of things that you're doing in 3 wide, but you're just going bigger, right? I mean, conceptually, it's the same. You have somebody who can stretch the field. With all respect, as you go down the depth chart, the quality of receivers that you were putting in there as you got into November and December, once you got beyond Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, that wasn't what you would have had if you'd had Albert O out there. So, yeah, when I heard that answer from Alton today, with all due respect to Justin Alton, I thought this is one of the things that was wrong with this team this year.
Yep.
And it's disappointing. I thought they were going to be more adaptable than that. But, usually the most adaptable coaches are defensive coaches. But the gift of Jim Harbaugh is that he has that as a guy who came up on the offensive side. So maybe some of that comes from his dad. By the way, speaking of Jack Harbaugh, did you not love his reaction in the Fiesta Bowl in the semifinal when Michigan wasn't on the timeout? It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was good. Jack Harbaugh.
Did you see that?
One of the best. Yes. Did see that, did love it, and love what he always told his kids. He told Jim and John every day, attack this day with an enthusiasm the world has never known. So
I like that.
There you go. Esoterodactyl wants some Mason C swag. As long as we get a cut, baby, I'm down. Use my image for anything, whatever.
Evidently, my name is being used to set, like, I looked up, like, myself and Nathaniel Hackett because looking up for a story I'd written. And evidently, like, there are these bootleg T-shirt places that use my name and Nathaniel Hackett's name to sell those. They're making those dark side T-shirts for the defensive line, right? You can get them. Someone saw the design and they bootlegged it. And no, I'm not getting a cut of that. I mean, I wouldn't want to cut that, but that's just, that's. But yeah, there ought to be a cartoon of the two of us. Yes.
Yeah, we get Drew Litton to do it, right? So there you go.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Maybe I'll be back in the bunker tomorrow because the Wi-Fi out here, and the thing is, the Wi-Fi up here had been fine doing it outside.
Yeah.
For some reason today, it's bulky. It's like the it's like the snow. It's like the snow shoveling work on the sidewalks here at the field house and between here and the facility. There are times it's not good. We are walking through snow. We are walking through snow to get through to get to press conferences. But shouldn't have moved the media room on us.
I know. Either that or give us golf carts or something.
I'm starting the campaign. Move the media room back. You had a 12, maybe a 13 loss season when you moved the media room from over down the hill beyond from the main building to here in the field house. Move it back. Move it back. You can keep the Papa shot, but move the media back. It's going to be easier for everybody, even players and coaches, because they won't have to schlep all the way over here for press conferences in the off season anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's odd. Play and build a players lounge or whatever.
This was just a strange season.
Yes, strange seasons, but remember, changes are gonna happen. So we'll be here all over that. Mace, we'll get you out of here and warm up those backside cheeks as we always are watching out for that. But any final thoughts today as we tie a bow on the program?
I was just thinking about today, only 3 more open locker room sessions. Tomorrow after the game Sunday, and then Monday morning on clean out day. And our routine changes dramatically, and the tone of our show, I think, is going to change a little bit when we get to the off season. But it's almost here. I feel like we've been kind of in a holding pattern, and now, strangely enough, the real season, the impactful season, is about to begin. It feels like we've been just kind of playing out the string here over the last month, and now we're actually about to start getting some answers and going in a forward direction here. So I'm excited about it.
There's a reason why I got a coffee mug that's the size of my head, because it is draft season, baby, which means it's time to get to work. He's Andrew Mason.
Yep.
I am Cecil Lammey. It is orange and blue today, everyone. Thanks for watching. 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday. We'll be back to tie a bow and a little game preview tomorrow, a little rapping about the Broncos. That's what we do. He's Mace. I'm Cease. OBT is BFD. Thanks for watching. As always, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and please stay frosty.